What's up? It's Indigo. You're tapping in and tuning in. The world is mine. Yeah, we're here. I feel like I'm just myself. Like I'm a creative person. I don't really want to compare myself to anyone. I feel like I'm just me, myself. Like I got a lot of creativity that I'm like kind of starting to branch out and release and stuff. Really, like a lot of people know me for my music, producing, like engineering, DJing, all that type of stuff. The music right now is forefront right now that people know me for. When I was like 14, 15, I used to listen to like Joey Badass, like Oera, like Flatbush Zombies, like that type of music. And I was like real into that. Like I wasn't into it like deep, but I like the Indigo shit they was talking about. So like I was like 15 years old. That's when I first started making beats and shit. So I was like, nah, that's a cool name. Let me just use that. So I kind of just ran with that. I'm originally born in Caldwell, Idaho. It's in the United States, right next to Washington and Oregon. It's like kind of this small kind of town. Everybody knows each other or knows of each other. It's not really super big. The town's more known for like agriculture and farmland and stuff. They got a lot of that coming out of here. And it's not really like music or like city life. You can go drive 30 minutes away to get to like the city in the downtown area, which is kind of small still. The area I stay in, it's like, I'm trying to think if there's like a movie I can compare it to. But it's like when you see movies, like the small town's kind of what it is. It's a little bigger, like there's Walmarts and stuff. It's still like type of small town, you know? You can probably get from one end to the other within like 15 minutes. I would say one thing I truly love about home and stuff, the outdoors, because I got friends out here that love to go outdoors, camping, fishing, all that type of shit. So it's like I can't really do that when I go to New York. I could kind of do it in LA, like if I go more upstate, but I haven't done it out there yet. But like when I come back home, I could really just go into like nature and go camping, go hiking, all that, and just escape from everything and just kind of enjoy the real wildlife. And a lot of people say that about this state is like Idaho has like beautiful wilderness and beautiful wildlife. That's one thing I could say it has over everything else. Sometimes I love the city. Like I lived in New York for like 2 years and I love the city. Like it's cool because it's like you got so much going on and I just like seeing like architecture and how buildings are built and just that kind of stuff. And so I also like coming back home because it's like sometimes I can just slow down and just go see the wildlife. So I kind of need a mix of both to really just be myself and actually just thrive. My family, they always liked music. My uncle, my dad used to rap. Not both of them kind of used to rap when I was younger, probably like 8 years old, but they didn't take it serious. They only did it for like a little short period of time. They were like on some like, I'm trying to think what kind of artists to compare them to. Like on some like, I don't know, like some old gangster rap, like some SPM, but it was like Chicano Mexican rap stuff. It was funny. Like it's cool. Like it was cool at the time. I ain't gonna lie. They were actually good too, but like that was when they were younger, like in their 20s and stuff. They're older now, so it's like, nah, they're past that. But then my uncle started doing like engineering and stuff probably when I was like barely turning a teenager. So he was like doing engineering and Pro Tools and recording and all that. So I would see him do all that and it kind of inspired me. I remember like back then I was learning how to play guitar and stuff. So it was kind of around, but it wasn't like I had somebody like mentoring me. Like I just had like my uncle inspire me because he didn't really go far with the music shit, but he still kind of like did his thing. It kind of inspired me in a way seeing him do that, that I was like, okay, it was that easy for him to make his own studio. Like I could do that myself too. Like I just always listened to music and just kind of did it myself really. When I was 14, like 15, that was when I had like that big change myself when I was just listening to like tons of music. I was always on Tumblr, just learning new music. That's when I found out about like Travis Scott and everybody like early on when he dropped Owl Pharaoh and stuff. And like I was just listening to stuff like that, like new stuff that was coming out. And I was like, this is crazy. So I kind of just inspired myself. I had like GarageBand on the iPhone. That's what I started with actually, now I think about it. And that was probably when I was like 14, 15. And I was like, nah, let me start making beats. So I started making beats on the iPhone and that's kind of where it started at my high school, there was like a couple kids that was into rapping and shit. So I would have them come through to my little studio spot and they would come and record and I would make beats and they'd be like, okay, let me hop on that beat. It was like a couple kids like around the area, probably like a few of them that was fucking with me. Back then, I wasn't making the shit I was making now. I was just making like the music I was listening to. I wasn't making like my own sound. Like I was just trying to replicate the music I was listening to, which was like boom bap, pro era, like Joey Badass, that type of era when everybody was rapping like on that type of shit. Back then, I was doing like sampled beats and stuff. It was cool and everybody was hopping on my shit, but it's like I just wanted to go further, you know. Initial moment was probably like summer when I was like 15. I think I had an iPod or some shit or iPhone, I can't remember, but I had GarageBand and I was like, all right, let me fuck around with this and see if I can make a beat. And I started putting like some shit together and it sounded kind of cool to me. Like, so I was like, all right, this is cool. So that was probably like the initial moment. That kind of just an avalanche kind of where I just went down and I was like, okay, let me get GarageBand on the computer and do this. And then let me do this and Logic. And it just kind of just kept going and going and going, you know? I enjoy the journey because I be thinking about this all the time. Like, there's a lot of people who blow up quick and stuff, and it's cool. Like, but I enjoy the long process and the journey. Like, you have to go through trials and tribulations and like stuff to build you. It builds character, it builds who you really are, and it makes you, it like adds to your story. Like, when you go and watch a movie, like, you don't just want to see the character like 10 minutes, like kind of a short TV show, if you see, or an episode, if you see a character in 10 minutes go from nothing to something. But when you watch a movie that's 2 hours long and you see somebody go from nothing to something, you build like love for them. You actually start to relate with them and you're like, nah, I actually have love for this person. I actually get to see their story and see where they came from, see everything they had to go through. So it's like, I like that it's taken me a long time to get to where I really want to be. I get to go through stuff. It helps add to my story and add to me, like, because I've learned a lot through life, not even just musically, but a lot about myself and everything. So it's like, I kind of enjoy the long road. I've always had a little bit of faith in myself, but it's just grown over the years, because it's like, that's really what's going to push you the most in this like music shit. You got to just make sure that you have that confidence, that faith in yourself to go far. Because if I didn't have that faith in myself, I would have never left my small town. I would have never moved to other states solely for music. I still wouldn't be in it. I would have just gave up, like, this is too hard. I can't even do this. Like, there's too much going on. It's really faith in yourself and having that mental strength, that good mental toughness. Like, you got to keep your head on straight. Like, you can't let things get to you and just be like, you know what? Like, it's going to get hard. I'm going to go through some shit, but, it's going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but I'm still going to get through it, But you just got to have like tough skin, really. I was just thinking like I could do this shit. I wasn't even making like the shit I was making now. Like, I wasn't making extravagant, like going hard. I was just like making cool shit, but I still believed in myself. And I was like, I could probably do this shit. Like, I could really do this shit. Like, kept saying that to myself. Like, I would just wake up and be like, nah, like, or I'd make a beat and I'd be like, nah, I could do this. Like, I could really do this. So I just kept just repeating it to myself, even if it was like verbally or in my head. I just always felt like I could do this. Like, this is what I was drawn to. Like, my heart was drawn to this. So I kind of just pushed myself like, nah, you got to do this. You got to do this. It was really just me, myself, that pushed me to do it. Like, I was like, nah, I have to. I was doing like songs like at the start, it was kind of getting my name out there, but I would say like the main songs that people started fucking with me with and recognizing me and be like, nah, I really fuck with them as a producer. It was a song I did with MdM called Values. So it was like that song, because I remember I had kids DMing me like, yo, you produced the best song on, it was on Witchcraft, like one of his tapes like back in the day. And they're like, you produced the best song on Witchcraft. Like, that beat's crazy, this, that, and the third. So it was probably like when I did that beat and did that song with him, that's probably when people like actually started gravitating towards me. I feel more free probably because like I don't set expectations on myself and boundaries on myself. Back then I would listen to a song and I'd be like, I want to make a beat like this or do this and that. I'll kind of try to replicate stuff. It was cool to be inspired, but I would kind of take that inspiration further and be like, let me do this and that. But now me as a person, I'm like, okay, I don't really set boundaries and expectations on myself. Like, I don't get frustrated if a beat's not up to par with me. I just work on something else or take a break. So it's like, I don't have expectations. I don't have boundaries. So it's like, it doesn't hold me back anymore. I can just be free and just not have to worry about it. When I moved out when I was like 17, 18, that's kind of when I met him. I met him a couple months after I moved out, whatever. But we were working here and there, but it wasn't until after me and him moved in together in New York, that's when we actually started working together and like actually making like beats together and getting songs together with artists that we fuck with. Like, we were always kind of working with each other here and there, but he would kind of do his own shit. I would do my own shit. And it wasn't really until like we moved in together that we're like, yo, let's do this together. Like, we started making beats together and we're like, yo, we kind of have our own sound. Like, this is crazy. Like, let's push this. Let's keep doing more with it. I learned a lot from him, actually. He taught me, like, he used to do EDM. That's where he started. It was like electronic music. And electronic music, they make their own sounds from scratch. They don't use preset VSTs and stuff. They'll make the sound from scratch. So from him, I learned how to make my own sounds from scratch, how to take a sound from something basic that sounds just regular and make it sound something like bigger and crazier, like a lot of like type mixing stuff like that. And like also learn how to be a better engineer from him, because he used to have a job. I had a job at a studio, but he was getting more sessions than me because he had a job at a bigger studio. I learned how to be like a fast and quick engineer from him and stuff, and like how to actually mix better because he was doing that more than me. So I kind of learned that from him too. And like even like the DJing thing too, because he was DJing a little bit back in the day, because that's like goes hand in hand with EDM, electronic music, because they play shows and stuff. So it's like me and him would just DJ together. I think the first thing we DJ together together was a day in Vegas with Thousand Man Fauni. So we were like practicing DJing. So I was learning stuff from him, like quick cuts and like how to do certain things on a DJ software, because I never used a DJ software. I was only like DJing through Ableton. So I learned stuff through him on how to work with DJ software. So it's like I learned a lot from bro. Like I really fuck with him. I thought I had more expectations when I was going in, like, yeah, I'm gonna build this way, I'm gonna be this way. But when I got on stage, it's like, it's crazy because like you got to realize like it's different from being in the crowd. When I was on stage, I was just sitting there like, yo, whatever I say in this mic, that's what they're gonna hear. It's quiet because I'm not playing anything, I'm not saying things. So whatever I play, whatever I say, they're gonna hear. So like I would like kind of just think about my words or just feel my words out. Like, all right, this is what I'm gonna say, like to get the crowd hyped. This is what I'm gonna say right here. Like I kind of would premeditate everything because it's like, nah, I want to give them the best show and make sure they get hyped. I don't want to get on the mic and start stuttering like, yo, like I never wanted to be like that. So I was like, nah, let me get everything right. Let me get my energy right, my confidence right. And then I would just step out there and do it, you know, like I had to get myself. There was times where I was nervous. I won't lie. Like there was times where I was nervous to get up. My best show experience, I'll probably say hands down. Like I went to Florida for this like little tour with MDMA, Uno, and Lucky. And I did this show with MDMA like at Orlando. And we had, it was like I was saying earlier, we had to set up for like sound effects for his vocals. So we did like auto tune on him, delay, reverb, and we had his like vocals sounding real crisp. And we had all the track. Everything was sounding super clear. The crowd loved it. Like they loved us. It was crazy. And it was just cool because we played a lot of like the Genie project that I made with him in Embassin. It was just like full circle moment to have the fans actually just show love in person to it. So it's like cool to perform that live. They loved it. Like it just felt so filling and good. Like I just love that show. Like that show holds a place in my heart for sure because I love that show. All right, so I moved to Florida and stayed there for a little bit, but it wasn't like Miami, it was Orlando, and Orlando's not a big city like that. So after that, I moved to New York, and it's like, it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't. It was just different because like back home, like I got a car so I can drive around and be mobile and shit. In New York, like you could have a car, but it's like parking is gonna kill you and all that. So it's like everybody takes the train, the bus, like Uber, like all that. So I was just getting used to public transportation and not being mobile like that. In New York, you kind of have that individuality that everybody has, you know, like everybody an individual. Nobody really cares what you got going on. Everybody just keeps to themselves and stays to themselves. That kind of built me to be like that too, which is like, I'm thankful for that, but it was like something new to get used to. Cause like, I remember when I was living in New York, people would come up to you with like surveys and stuff, or like they're trying to sell you stuff. And then like people would just walk by them. But me, I wasn't from New York. I was from like a small town. So I'd be like, stand there and talk to them and they keep talking to me. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. But eventually I got used to this, like how it works. And I just kept walking by them, ignoring them. Cause it's like, everybody just minds their own business. And I like that. So like at first it was different. It was really different for me to stay there, but you know, I got used to it and it kind of built me a certain way and I needed that. I really needed to have that experience. I just felt like I had to keep working and do something like to like keep going. It makes you feel like you just need to keep move, like keep doing something, you know? I would just go to the studio. Like I said, me and Embassin was working in the studios. His studio was kind of cooler. So like I would just go to the studio late at night with him, like probably like 10 p.m. till like 5, 6 in the morning. And we would just lock in and just make beats in the studio because nobody was using it. And we was in a big room, like with I forgot what the speakers were called, but like these big speakers. And like we could just turn it up as loud as we wanted. We would just do that. We would just go to the studio, lock in, stay up till like 6 in the morning, just make beats on beats on beats. That was like the best experience I had because it really just molded me just to like feel like the access to the big studios gave me that freedom to just really make what I wanted to make. If you have to book a studio, you have to book a certain amount of time. We didn't book the studio because he worked there, so we got it for as long as we wanted. So I had like that freedom to just really just sit down, really tweak every sound and make everything sound how I wanted it to sound because I was hearing it in a big studio professionally. So it's like, it just gave me that freedom, like to really just go further and just really enjoy my music on a bigger scale than just my laptop or my headphones. Just like, you know, I got to really just experience the whole process in a big studio and it just kind of built me. It just depends. There's some days where I like going with the gang and chilling and like talking and laughing. I've had songs come out good from that. But then there's times like where I go and like work on beats by myself and it's like, I'll just vibe out. I'll just throw on like I'll watch like some movies or music videos on some silent shit and then just like vibe out and just work on music, really just work on what I want to work. So it's like, it's here and there. It just depends how I'm feeling on the day, what like vibe I'm going for. Recently, I was saying like my inspiration recently has been like post-punk bands. There's this like genre called like shoegaze. Like it's a lot of like alternative like bands. I haven't really been listening to like rap rather than the artists I work with, you know, and the stuff that I'm working on currently. But I've been listening to like bands like The Cure, Joy Division, My Bloody Valentine. I've been listening to like Aphex Twin on some ambient shit. Akira Yamaoka, he's like a composer on some ambient shit. So really just like ambient like type music, like even rock shit that's ambient stuff. Like I've been just fucking with like that style. Like that's really what's been inspiring me. Just everything from the music to what they talk to the way they dress, the imagery, like the videos, just everything, you know. I've just been inspired by that. More so recently, but I've always liked that kind of music that since I was like 16, 17, since I was on Tumblr back then, but more so recently. That's kind of hard, like to narrow it down on one song. Like I would say one song that I've been playing a lot recently is "When You Sleep" by My Bloody Valentine. Like that's a cool song. And then Siamese Twins by The Cure. Like those are probably like two top songs like I've been playing recently. It's kind of hard to pick one of all time because like I listen to so much different music. It's kind of just hard to narrow it down. Like, nah, this is the best song of all time. If I had to listen to one song, it would just be this because it's like I listen to so much music. It's like it's hard for me to just narrow it down to that. Usually, if I hear something new, like it's like new mixed with familiar. Like when I listen to bands and stuff, I'll hear like a familiar like type, kind of like another band that I fuck with or whatever. But if it's something new, like they do something different with like chords or like effects or the way they sing or the way they play, that's what'll intrigue me because I'm like, that's crazy. I haven't really heard nothing like that before. So if somebody does something new, something familiar, that's what really like will trigger me and be like, nah, this is something that I fuck with. That's kind of why I kind of do that in my own music because I get inspired from shit like that. Like all that music I've been listening to recently, I kind of just throw it in my own shit. Like, okay, let me do something new and experiment, mix it with something familiar that people kind of know from me personally. So I'll mix like the old with the new and just, you know, and they're like, nah, this is crazy because it's like something new, but something familiar, you know. That's why people like certain songs and movies. Like when people sample songs and stuff, they like those songs because it's like, oh, I recognize this sample. I fuck with the sample. It's from this old song, but it's also a new song. It's something new, but it's something familiar. I kind of like took on that and I applied it to my own self. I guess if I could classify myself in like anything, it would be like the closest thing would be like ambient type music, like ambient shit. Cause it's like I don't want to really box myself in and say like, you know, I'm this or that. It's just like I know I have like ambient melodies that kind of sound like spacey, or like even just like the music I work on kind of sounds like ambient and spacey, you know. I definitely want to get more into like movies and like games and just like soundscapes and stuff. It's just got to be like the right movie and stuff. But like I really want to definitely do that. That's why like when I watch movies, it kind of inspires me because I listen to the soundtrack. I definitely one day even want to direct a movie myself. So like I listen to music and I'm like, nah, if I could make a movie, this is the song I would want to put in the movie. This scene and this and that. So I kind of just have like a visual audio like thought process and I put visuals together with audio in my head and like this is how I want to do it. So I definitely would want to make music for movies and like shows and games and stuff like that for sure. The one movie I fuck with is The Place Beyond the Pines. Like it doesn't even have like the same type of music like that I work on, but it's like the first probably like hour of that movie or 45 minutes of that movie is just like perfect to me. Like I just really like that movie a lot. It's probably one of my top 5 movies. I mean, it's cool. Like, I never hate a certain underground sound, like when it's like more popular and stuff. No matter what's going on, no matter what sounds more popular or what's going on, like I still just stick and stay true to myself. I don't try to replicate it or kind of try to make and go with the wave. Like I kind of just want to be myself, start my own wave. Like no matter what's the trend, no matter what's going on, I don't want to follow that. Like I'd rather just be myself, stay by myself and stay true to myself. Like I don't want to replicate anything. I want to be the one that people see and like, you know what, this is like his own thing, you know. I don't want people to be like, nah, he's just making something that sounds like this, you know. I want people to be like, nah, it's his own thing. This truly comes from me, from myself, not from nothing else, you know. All of it probably kind of started from it was like MdMA and Fauni were the first ones because I remember I used to send a lot of artists beats every day. Like this, I kind of stopped doing that because I like working more in person. But back in the day, like I didn't have that accessibility to like work in person with artists. So like I would email Fauni beats like every day or every other day, like new beats, whatever. So I'll send him new beats and then like he would kind of just hop on them. I didn't know he was hopping on them or putting them like he didn't ever put them out. But I remember one song leaked or no, he put one out before, but I remember there was like a leak from back then or whatever. But it was kind of like that. Like he kind of recognized me because I was sending beats all the time. So he was just opening packs on top of packs for me. And then MDMA, I seen him recommended because it was like on the old IG, but I seen him recommended to me before. I went through his profile. I'm like, who is this kid? But then I remember like the day after he liked because I used to post videos of my beats on Instagram. He liked one of the videos and he's like, send this to me. So I DM'd him. I'm like, what's your email? that's kind of how I started. This is probably like 2017, 2016, but like he kind of found me, like, or we kind of found each other at the same time. So it was kind of cool. Like we kind of built from the ground up with each other. And then Uno, like I would always send Uno beats too at the same time I was sending beats to Fauni. Like I would always send them beats, but like I think he was opening them. I can't remember. I don't know if he ever used them. I haven't asked him about that, but like I didn't really start working with him until like I came to LA. I was with Molly with MdMA. So when he would see me with him, he's like, "Oh, you're the one who's making these beats." So he kind of put the connection together, and then we kind of just started working from there. 2020 Halloween. He came to LA with Nieces, and he hit up my boy Light Fortunato because I was living with Light Fortunato at the time. So we linked together. We was just running around LA on Halloween, and then I had the studio, like the portable studio set up. So we went to his hotel. We worked on some songs, probably like from like 10 p.m. to like 7, 8 in the morning, and we did it like the next day after that, like just locked in from the same times, like me and him. It was cool because like bro works hard, like so we were just recording song after song after song, and it was cool because it was like something new. But it's funny because like even before that I was listening to his music a lot, and I was like fucking with him, and this is like way back then, like probably like 2019 when I was listening to his music, and I was like, nah, he's hard. Like it was like when Bane was fresh out. There's another song, it was like when those are fresh out, and I was like, nah, he's hard. Like this kid's hard, I want to work with him. So it was like it was kind of funny just to meet him and work with them. So that was cool. Like he's definitely a hard worker. We knocked out a lot of songs then, and like kind of just kept working. When I first started and I was coming up in like New York, it was like here and there, like probably like I was probably working on a song with the artist like once every month because I was sending beats. But like once I moved to LA, I had like sessions per day. Like I would do one session with like Light Fortunato, then go do a session with MdMA, then go do a session with Fauni. So sometimes I'd have like 3 sessions in a day where I was just working on songs and songs and working on each of their projects because they were each working on a different project. And then the next day, it'd probably be with Uno or somebody that flew out to LA like lonely or something. So it was like I was kind of just working with everybody and having multiple sessions per day. I was just like pushing myself, which it was cool. Like it would be cool to get back into that, but like I kind of like the more sessions where I get to like my favorite sessions, I would say, is like the ones where I get to just really just work on a beat from scratch, work on a song from scratch with the artist, and just sit there and just like I don't like the sessions where you go in and it's just like I do like them. It's like a love and hate, but I don't like them where you go in and you're like, yeah, we're working like all night. I like the ones where you go in with the artist, you guys kick it, catch up, talk about some shit, or you guys like watch a movie or some shit, or just vibe out. Like you guys just, chilling and hanging out, whatever. And then you guys just like start making music, like, yo, let's work on some shit. I'm like, all right, because that's how you make the best music. Like you got to have a real connection with people rather than just like, you know, kind of just having a fake connection. That's kind of why I strayed away from sending beats to artists, because it's like I'm not having a real connection with them. I'm just sending beats through the internet, through email. Like some of these artists don't even know what my face looks like. So I'm like, nah, let me start working with these artists in person. And like they respect it more. I respect it more. And it's just like you build this more like relationship and like bond with them where you guys just make the best music, because it's like you guys are working together from scratch together. And it's just like, it's just you and them. Like I don't have no one else, like a third party. It's like I don't have an engineer. I don't have like studio personnel. It's me pulling up my portable setup, and it's just me and the artist. We're just working together. Like, it's like nobody, no middleman. It's just me. Every project that I worked on when I was living in LA, which is probably like from like the time of when I worked on those 8 albums, I'm still like back and forth in LA. But I would say every project I work on, I'm like proud of. But one project I would say that I'm proud of my production on would be like, I'll probably say the Genie project with MDMA, because that's kind of where I started to start my sound and push my sound to people. Like, so it's like I kind of showcased myself on that. And it wasn't really like no replication. I wasn't using no loops. I wasn't using no samples. It was all straight me. So it's like that was something that kind of just solidified myself. All the songs like I usually make and all the songs I did on that were recorded with the artist. So like we made that project when we were living in LA, and we just kept working and working and working, and we stacked up songs. So like all those songs were made in person. All those beats were made with me and Embassin. It was all in person. Like I was telling you, that process. And that's kind of like what me and him are big on. Like, I don't really like sending beats. I don't really like have someone else recording it. So like all those songs I recorded with Embassin, like he recorded, like we mixed them together, we produced them together. We were with the artist in the room. So it's like middleman was just us. So it's like basically the same way I was saying our processes and my process. Like no middleman, just me. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like the EDM, like EDC, like those type of festivals and stuff. I definitely would want to do that. Like I was saying, like Clams Casino and stuff. He's like kind of like one of those producers where he was producing and stuff. And he kind of took his own like music and just instrumentals and went off with it and started playing live shows and stuff. So like I definitely would want to do that, especially since I like play instruments and stuff. So like I would definitely want to play some instruments live and like actually go crazy and have a whole experience for fans. It's like I was saying though, I just want to have a whole experience and really just think about everything meticulously, like stage design, lights, like everything, how the crowd would be, how I would be, how it's gonna sound. So it's like I just want to put together a whole experience for like my fans and newcomers to just be like, yeah, this is something that's new, but something like I just have a love for this. Like this is what I wanted to hear. This is what I needed to hear. I did like some like how would I say it, like kind of like mock work where you like kind of show that you're like that you could do it. So I did some mock work on like type fake games or like replica games or whatever, and like even like movie type scores. I used to do this thing called Foley, which is like you make sound effects for movies. So I don't know, there's like a video that's on Twitter sometimes and it shows people like they have a boot in their hand and they're crushing it through mud. That yeah, they put that and layer it on top of movies for sound effects. So they make sound effects for movies. So I did some of that before. Stuff like that. Like it's cool. Like I definitely want to get more into it and just like I want to make music and create on all platforms and like all like areas, you know. I don't want anything to be untouched. I really just want to solidify myself and just be like an inspiration to the kids and stuff and even just anybody. Like that's really what I want to be. Like I really don't care if I ever get mainstream or if I stay in the underground. I don't care where my place is in music. I just want to be an inspiration for years to come and people look back and be like, you know what, he inspired me. Like the same way I look at these bands or I look at these artists and I'm like, yeah, they inspire what I'm doing now. Even if they're not big or even if they are big, I want to just have that inspiration and stamp myself in music and just be like, you know what, he was an inspiration to me. Like that's all I really want to be, is just an inspiration, like a positive inspiration to people. I would say they got to start getting outside more, like start meeting these artists, start going and working with them. You know, you can't really just sit in your room and send beats. Like it's like you was telling me earlier, like I always knew your beats, I just never knew your face. It's like they're not gonna ever see your face. They're just gonna know you. Like if you're a producer and you're just posting like audio clips of beats on your Instagram, they're never gonna know what you look like. So it's like you're always just gonna be that backseat producer. But if you want to be a real true artist and solidify yourself in this music shit, like you gotta take it a step further and put yourself out there. You gotta take risks, really. That's what it is take risks. You know, sometimes you got to move to places that you don't want to move to, like even if you don't know nobody there, like, you know, meet people there. You got to do things that you don't want to do and like put yourself in outside of your comfort zone to be who you truly want to be. You just got to think like, what role do I want to play in this music? Like, do I just want to be the backseat producer and send beats from my laptop, or do I really want to be in the mix and working with these artists in the studio and having like a real bond with these people and making real music with them? So it's like you got to think where you want to be and what you're willing to risk. Like you got to think like the risk reward factor, like how much you're willing to put on the line for what you love. You know, that's really what it takes, is how much you're willing to put on the line for what you love. Some people are willing to put it all, some people don't want to put nothing, you know. I would say just like myself, like, and like my relationships with people. Like I had to be selfish and like move away from family, friends, like everybody. Like obviously I still come back and see them, but there was a lot of time I spent apart from people that are close to me in my life. So it's like I kind of had to be selfish and separate myself, not even purposely cut myself off from those people, but like separate myself to get to where I want to be. So it's like it kind of sucks because it's like I missed a lot of that time, but it's like, you know, like a lot of times, like if you want to get somewhere in life, you kind of got to do things for yourself. You got to be selfish. Like if I was never selfish and I was like, I want to move for this music shit for myself, I would still be back home working a 9 to 5 doing that. So if I never put myself first in life, I would never be where I'm at. So you kind of just got to put yourself first, be selfish and be willing to put yourself on the line for what you love. You know, like I was saying, just being myself, standing true and staying true to myself. Like that's what I would say, like not changing for nobody or anything, like just staying true to myself. Like I don't want to be like anybody else. Like, yeah, I got friends that are cool. Yeah, like my family's cool, but I just want to be myself. I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to be an individual, have that individuality. Oh yeah, I had the PS Vita. Yeah, I hacked it actually. I paid someone to hack it, so they put a bunch of games on it. Nah, I had it for a minute because I bought one like when I was like 13, 12 years old, but I had mine for a minute. I've always had it at the crib. So like recently I've been trying to go back into like shit that made me happy as a kid and just kind of reliving that and retouching up on that. So like I've just been playing a lot of games, movies, stuff that I enjoyed back then. So I was like, nah, let me hack this, put some games on it, and like I really just been playing games and just getting inspired by like old PSP games, PS2 games, like PlayStation 1 games, because they had like the best soundtracks and like the best, even though the graphics wasn't top tier, they didn't give a fuck. Like they didn't care. Like, no, we need the best graphics. So like, let's just make the best possible game we can. Like they weren't making games just to push them out. Like, all right, let's make a part 3, part 4, part 5 of this. They're like, nah, let's make a brand new game. So it's like it was a whole new experience. You know, it wasn't about the graphics. It was about the gameplay and like the real experience. So that's why I'm going back to those games. Like, nah, this is what I used to love as a kid. Like, let me go this, and it inspires me in a way. On the PSP, I used to like this game called Ape Escape. Like that was my favorite game at the time. That was the first game I ever got from my PSP. You're like a little kid and like you had to go catch like monkeys on the loose and they have like a hat on or whatever. But that was cool. Like that was the first game I ever got from PSP. So like it's just like a classic little game to play. But like my favorite games of all time, I'll probably say like I got big into like survival horror, like old games. So like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Definitely Silent Hill because like I like the soundtrack of those games. Like I really admire the soundtrack and the composer Kiri Yamaoka. Like he really makes some crazy music. So like I just like the feel of those games. Like it'll make you, it's not even the best graphics, but it'll still make you feel like you're scared or on edge because of like the whole ambience and everything surrounding the game that's in the game. It's just like just the whole experience. So I really like those games a lot. Yeah, there's times where I'll hop on the game, like I'll hop on Warzone or like mainly just Warzone. I'll hop on Warzone sometimes with the guys and just go crazy and like actually try to get some dubs and stuff. It just depends. Like it's here and there. It's just whenever like the gang is on and I'll hop on with them. Let me think. Because it's like there's a lot of food I fuck with in LA. Like I like fuck with like Korean barbecue and stuff, but there's not like a specific one that I'm like I had to hit this every time. I'm trying to think like what spot do I always hit when I go somewhere? Like I don't know. Like I'll probably say the only type of food that I'm not really like big on is like Middle Eastern food, like Indian food. Like it's cool, like but I'm not like that's not my favorite. But I would say like I don't know. I like Asian food, like Korean barbecue. Like I like sushi, I like sushimi, I like ramen, I like going to like hibachi. Like I like eating all that stuff. So it's like I just like Asian food. Like there's this place in LA called Little Tokyo. It's like just this little place in like downtown, like and it's completely like just Japanese shit. So I'll go there and get some food and just go look at the shops and stuff. So it's like I really like Japanese food for real. Nah, I don't smoke. I don't do no drugs or drink or nothing for real. Yeah, I don't even smoke vapes or nothing. I just be staying like be myself, you know. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like people that don't know me will ask me like, you trying to hit this or you want something? I'm like, nah, I'm straight. Like I know like I don't like getting high. I know I don't like getting drunk. It's just not me. Like I've never been the type of person to be like, yeah, I just like getting high. I like getting drunk. Like I don't really like that feeling. I like just staying myself and just being sober and stuff and having my own clear mind. So like it's never really been hard because I just have that will to be like, nah, I don't like that feeling. I like having the clear head and just being myself and just staying myself. I used to skate when I was a kid, but I haven't done that for a while. But recently, really just make music, listen to music, like watch movies, like just stuff that kind of inspires me, even if it's like subconsciously inspire me. Like if it's not like consciously inspire me, that's what I mean. Like if it's subconsciously inspire me, I'll still do it. Like watch movies, go outside in nature. Like I said, go camping, like, go on hikes and stuff like that, outdoor stuff, just anything that kind of will inspire me that I'm not meaning to do. Like it's just like I just want people to just know that like I'm just myself. I'm gonna be myself. I'm forever gonna be myself. But with that being said, I just want to inspire other people to do the same. Like you don't have to be like anybody else. You don't have to look up to anybody. Like it's cool if you look up to some people because like I look up to my dad and shit. But like I don't want people to be like, nah, I want to be like this artist or this, that, and the third. Like it's cool to be yourself. You don't have to be someone else. You don't have to do what anybody else does. Like you can like what you like. You can be who you are. Like that's how I am. I'm myself, and I inspire people. Like people tell me all the time, like you inspire me, bro. I love your music. So it's like that's what I want to continue to do is just be myself, stay true to myself, and inspire people by doing that. I don't want to fabricate things and be someone I'm not or try to replicate stuff. I just want to be myself and inspire people to do the same. Yo, what's up? It's Indigo. Just tapping in with The World Is Mine. Great interview. Got some new shit coming out, man. Embassin, we'll probably about to drop some shit soon. So look out for that.